if you're running an e-commerce store, you probably know email marketing is crucial. You also likely feel overwhelmed about getting started with newsletters. If so, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step how to create, set up, and send your first email campaign in Omnisend. And the best part? I'll share some pro tips that most store owners miss, like how to use Omnisend's audience targeting to segment your subscribers the right way, and how to use Omnisend's product picker to showcase your items in the most engaging way possible. Trust me, these are the same strategies that help our clients see massive jumps in email revenue. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kasey and I run Luck & Co agency. We help 8- and 9-figure e-commerce brands maximize their revenue from email and SMS marketing. We have accumulated a ton of knowledge and experience over the years, and on this channel, I share all of that with you for free. Quick heads up, this video is sponsored by Omnisend, but after testing their platform thoroughly, I am genuinely excited to show you how powerful their newsletter features are for e-commerce stores. Now, let's dive in and create your first newsletter campaign. No time to waste. Okay, so we're starting in the campaigns tab on the left over here in the Omnisend account. I already have, this is a test account, of course. I already have one campaign in here, but let's start from scratch and click on create campaign. Right here, you can choose between an email or an SMS campaign. You can also do an email A/B test or a push notification campaign. For now, let's go with the simple email campaign and click create email. All of these things are pretty straightforward. Let's say that we're doing a Labor Day sale and everything is 30% off. So 30% site-wide, 30% off site-wide. Doing it in all caps is probably not a good idea. Not a good subject line tip because it does increase your likelihood of going into spam. So how about this? 30 off site-wide. Sender's name is Luck & Co. Email address is determined in your settings. And if you need to set up your Omnisend account, I do have a separate video about that will link on the screen right now. Pre-header is also known as preview text, and it's actually very important. So I like to say, I like to look at my subject line, 30% off site-wide. Absolutely everything, and then use an arrow. Campaign name is an internal name for this campaign, which is important. Usually throughout Labor Day, you would send multiple email campaigns. So this would be Labor Day 1 or Labor Day Sale 1. And then the second one would be 2, 3, 4, and so forth. But if you have a naming convention for all of your campaigns, obviously use that. We are big fans of naming conventions at Luck & Co to keep things organized. And that's pretty much it. You could connect a Facebook account to auto post on Facebook, but that's usually not a good idea. You do want to have a separate customized copy and graphics for Facebook that's native to the Facebook platform. So I actually don't like to use this feature. And then very conveniently, you have an inbox preview over here where you can see your email with the sender name, the subject line, and the preview text or pre-header. So let's go ahead and save and close. That brings us back to all of the campaigns, but we are not done yet. So let's choose an email template. A really cool thing about Omnisend is that it offers a ton of different email templates. So even if you don't have a designer on your team or you're strapped on resources, you can just choose among the templates that they're offering and you don't have to bother with Canva or Figma or Photoshop, whatever. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And look, 30% off everything is exactly what I want to use in my campaign. So we could start with that, or we can go and browse through all of these templates that they're offering us. All of them are looking super bright and modern and engaging. You can also filter by your goal, by your theme, or a campaign type. But I actually see exactly what I like right here. So that's what I'll choose. This brings us into the email design editor. And there are lots and lots of features over here. So let's go through everything step by step. So the first things that I like to start with are on the right here, which are email settings. And the first thing is that you need to choose the canvas width, and 600 pixels is a standard width. That's optimal for both desktop and mobile. So that's a good place to start. And then I can pick some theme settings over here, such as background image, size, color, and so on, as well as buttons. I can choose the style of my primary button, my secondary button, and tertiary button. But you can also just configure every button that you have separately in the email as well. But if you like to stay consistent, that's a great setting to have over here. Now let's go to the library on the left, and we can look at all of the elements that are offered right here. Besides separate items such as text, button, video, image, and so on, we can also choose right between layouts. And Omnisend prepared different layouts for us to choose from, such as single column, 2-column, 3-column, and so on. For modern email, you don't want to do anything more than a 2-column layout. And in most cases, you do want to stick to a single column. And this is especially important for mobile. Most emails are getting opened on mobile these days. So that's what you want to stick with. This is a really, really cool feature, and the one that I kind of teased at the beginning of the video, the product picker from Omnisend. This really lets you personalize your emails at scale. And the options that we have here, first of all, we have the static layouts for product featuring. If you want to feature specific products, let's say your Labor Day sale only applies to a specific collection as opposed to site-wide. Of course, then this would be your choice and you'll go. And what you do is you drag and drop this into your email, and then you change these images, you change the text, you change everything you want. However, the part that I'm very excited about is the dynamic product blocks. So you can drop this, which requires a pro plan, understandably, because this feature is most useful to companies and e-commerce brands that are scaling and growing, which would show recently viewed products to that specific subscriber. So the products showcased in the email would be different subscriber to subscriber, which is very powerful. It's a very powerful way to get your emails to work harder for you, and makes all the sense to upgrade your Omnisend plan for this feature. You can also do a standard product recommender and do best-selling products, recently added products, or most viewed products, all of which are very helpful depending on the goal of your campaign. Also here on the left, we have images, so different layouts for showcasing your product images. We also have different headers. We have different content blocks. Really, the choices here are endless. You can spend all day going through all of these choices and really customizing the emails to look exactly the way you want for your brand. There's body, there's hero, there's pre-header. There's also different footer setups for you. So anything that your soul desires, you can find here. Something that I'd like to do is just work with this template that I picked and customize it for my brand. So I would click into this section, and let's say this green salad color is not really my brand color, so I can just go and pick any other color I want. Of course, use my own hex code. So, oops, I do not want to do that. Let's say this would be my brand color. Then change the logo, change all of this copy. Let's say for us, it's not save up to 30%, but site-wide sale 30% off everything. And then let's say something that this template is actually missing is a button above the scroll. So this is probably clickable, but we at Lock & Co really like to make buttons look like buttons because they get a higher click rate. So let's now find a button. And the way I like to do it is I just like to find a button that's already here and then just drag and drop. Duplicate that block and then move it to where I want it in the email. Because it's already created for me, I don't need this section, so let's just delete it. I also don't need this extra space over here at the top. And it seems like that space is produced by a padding over here, so let's do 4. And this button should say, instead of saying roller skates collection, shop 30% off everything. Don't forget to link all of your buttons. And then this is where you can choose between the different styles if you've picked them in the email settings, like I was showing you at the beginning of this section of the video. And then there are a bunch of other design settings over here at the bottom that you can toggle on and off or set to whatever you need it to look like. And if we go into the layout, don't forget that you can choose the background color or image for the entire section. You can also choose the padding here, color alignment, mobile stacking, visibility on devices, and so on. Visibility on devices is something that's very helpful if you want to create a separate version of your email for mobile and desktop. Sometimes that's an overkill because Omnisend already helps you. If you're using their templates, a lot of their templates are already optimized for mobile. But if you're designing your email from scratch, let's say it's in Canva or in Figma, or in Photoshop, and let's say you have a lot of text or you have a very complicated layout design, that is usually best for desktop. On mobile, you want things to be simpler, and the stacking feature is not enough, and you actually want to create a separate file for your mobile version. If that's the case, you would just drag and drop it directly in here, but then you'll set your desktop section or desktop block to only show on desktop right here. And then right under it, you will have your section or your block for mobile. And then you will set that to mobile only. And then very importantly, if you're doing this strategy, it's very important to preview and test your emails a lot of times. And so you preview it here first. See how I hid that block from desktop? And so now it's not showing up. I hid that header section from desktop. However, when I look on mobile, it is showing up. So that's what that's doing. So make sure that you test your email both in this Omnisend experience and then also send a test to yourself. Look at your email on both your computer and your mobile phone. However, let's go back here and choose all devices in terms of visibility because I'm not going to follow that strategy here. Let's say that I want this section to have the same background color as that other one. This is where I set that up. And now my email looks a little bit more cohesive. And then of course I would change all of these images and the rest of the images right here. This is where I would pause right now because it would take us a lot of time to just change this entire email to match my brand and my sale. However, in that other video where I set up an entire Omnisend account, I go into more detail on design settings. So go check that out if you need more help right here. However, we're going to click save and choose recipients because that's another very, very exciting part of sending campaigns. I would argue that it's one of the most important things is choosing who you're going to send that email campaign to. A really great thing about Omnisend is that their segmentation options and features are really vast and allow you to pick and choose who you want to send your campaign to and also exclude anybody that you don't want to receive that campaign. So let's start with the options that we have here. So choose email recipients. First of all subscribers. In the majority of cases, you do not want to send to all of your subscribers because that's too wide. The more often you email everybody on your list, the faster you will tire your list. We'll have what's called list fatigue, which means your subscribers will be less and less receptive to the content that you send them. Your open rate will start going down. Your click rate will start going down. And eventually your sender score and your sender reputation will also start going down as your unsubscribe rate goes up and your spam complaint rates go up. That scenario sucks. We want people on your list to be engaged, to be opening more, clicking more, unsubscribing less, not marking you as spam. And for that reason, you need to think about your segments. High-level segmentation strategy is based on engagement. So you want to think about who on my list are the most engaged and brand loyal people who would be interested in everything that I have to say. And to those people, you send more often. And then you think about who are the people that are on my list that are still interested in things, but they probably don't want to hear from me every week or multiple times per week. They probably want to hear about big sales, like this Labor Day sale that I'm sending. They probably want to hear about product announcements, but that's pretty much it. If there's an email that's more focused on engagement or, like general news or more details about a particular product that's not new, a general email educating people about features and benefits, the less engaged people are probably not interested in that stuff. And so what are the different criteria by which we can define group A, who's interested in most things, and group B, who are interested in fewer things? And usually that's based on engagement. So has this person been opening and clicking everything I've been sending, or have they not been opening and clicking? And then within that, opening and clicking, it's also not binary, right? There's a range. So how many times they've opened and clicked in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and so on. So that's called email engagement. And there's also web engagement. Maybe they haven't been opening my emails or clicking my emails, but they've been very active on the website in the last 7 days, let's say. That's also a good reason to target a person with a particular campaign. Again, depending on what the goal of that campaign is and what the theme is. So that's the general thinking behind segmentation to begin with. And then based on that, you go and build your segments, which is what we're going to do right now. So instead of sending to all subscribers, let's click Let Me Choose My Segments. And I have some of the segments pre-built here in this test account. In your account, you should have a lot more segments that are built, and then you'll know your segments by name, and then you'll just be able to search for them right here. Customers who bought with discount, and then we can continue adding segment and adding as many as we need. Let's click Save and Close and go into Audience and then Segments. So if you're missing some segments, go into Segments here and then click Create a Segment. And as with everything in Omnisend, they're supporting you with a lot of pre-built material. So a lot of the pre-built segments will be for you right here. And based on the integrations that you have in your account, they will be, once you use the template, that segment will be built immediately. You can also create a segment from scratch. And it's really worth it to spend some time in the segments builder over here and go through all of the filters so that you know what's available to you when defining a certain segment. So for example, I talked a lot about engagement, and they have a separate section called engagement where you can see clicked, image marked, message as spam, message sent, open message, opted in, opted out, viewed page, and so on. So know all of the options that are available to you, and they might differ depending on which shopping platform you have connected to Omnisend. But the better you know these options, the more tools you have at your hands to create the segments that you need for your campaign. Orders is a really helpful section over here as well. If you want to create, let's say we have a Labor Day sale, it's 30% off site-wide, but I want to send a separate campaign to people who have never bought from me before. And there I would recommend my best sellers. Maybe I would express 30% off as a dollar amount savings, if that's more impressive than 30% off, depending on what the average price is for my products. And I would really use a lot of content that's geared towards non-customers, such as guarantees and social proof, reviews, UGC, all of those things that people who've never bought from you before need in order to make that decision to buy from you for the first time. And then people who have bought from me before would receive a separate campaign where I don't go as hard into reviews and UGC, because if somebody have bought from me before, they don't need that. They have their own experience of my products. To them, I would probably recommend, I would use that product picker, dynamic product picker feature that we've reviewed during this video, and showcase products that are specifically relevant for customers. I would focus on increasing AOV. So what are the different products? This really would depend on, the types of products that I sell. That would help me increase AOV during this sale. A sale is a great opportunity to convert non-customers into customers. And then for customers who are coming back, your goal is to increase the AOV as they're coming back, because if they just come back and purchase a single thing with a 30% off, when you have probably already given them a discount before on their first purchase, that's not a really efficient use of a sale. And so with segmentation criteria that are based on orders, you can bring all of those strategies to life. Go over here, spend some time, build different segments, see how many people you have in different segments. That also will help you decide how many campaigns you want to send to and to which segments. But let's go back into the labor sale. Number one, when you have enough segments, you can include segments and you can also exclude segments. Good segments to exclude would be people who have bought recently, so placed an order, purchased in the last 14 or 21 days. That tends to be a standard exclusion segment. Maybe if it's a huge sale, you want to limit that to just people who bought in the last 3 days. But generally, you want to avoid complaints from people who just bought and then you offer a discount right away. Another segment that we really like to exclude is people who are currently currently active in the welcome flow. So if they're going through a welcome flow or an abandoned checkout flow, you don't want to target them with a campaign in most cases. Again, if it's a huge sale, that might be an exception. Other than that, the welcome and abandoned checkout flows are really geared to convert. And so we don't want to distract subscribers who are going through that experience with a campaign that might seem more random to them. If you have issues with deliverability, a lot of times you would exclude certain inbox providers. Microsoft is a problem a lot of times. If you're doing a multi-channel strategy where you're emailing people and you're sending an SMS, we actually a lot of times like to do both. We think that it doesn't hurt to, if somebody subscribed to SMS, it doesn't hurt to also send them an email. We probably want to space that out, but that is usually thought through in our calendar strategy. However, if you were sending an early access SMS or email, maybe you want to exclude subscribers who are subscribe to the other channel. And then other than that, the exclusions are up to you. Of course, for each brand and each business, it makes sense to exclude different groups of people. And the cool thing is that you can, as with inclusion segments, you can also exclude as many segments as you want from any single campaign. All right, so let's say that we're done with this. Let's review campaign. So here are the options that we have here. We have a campaign booster, so automatically resend your campaign to subscribers who missed it initially, enhance your reach, and elevate open rates by targeting unengaged recipients, either through email or SMS. I would be very careful with this option. If you are resending, definitely change the subject line, of course. An SMS booster is an interesting idea here. Like if first you send an email and then you follow up with SMS, because generally SMS is more expensive to send. However, what's really important is that if you're resending, make sure that you're resending to people who haven't opened that previous email that you sent, but they have opened or clicked emails in the past 30 or 90 days. What you want to avoid is emailing people who are really unengaged separately from everybody else, because over time that will actually negatively impact your account and your deliverability. So be careful about that. So let's turn that off for now. Settings are just like general settings that we've set at the beginning. If you decide to change your subject line or your preview text or something else, you can go back and change that here. Let's click back to review and let's turn that off. Recipients, these are the segments that I have chosen in the previous step. Whatever segments you chose will show up here. And then for sending, we can send now or schedule for later. And I always recommend scheduling for later. It's never a good idea to send emails last minute, because trust me, every email marketer has been in that situation where they've sent and then they went to bed and then they realize, oh my God, I forgot X, Y, and Z in that email. And so you want to have the buffer time to go back and edit something if you really need to. And when you're scheduling, you can also schedule based on your time zone or based on your subscriber time zone. And a lot of times it is beneficial to do it in the subscriber time zone to optimize for open rates. And so that's it. With that, you can schedule your campaign and you will be good to go. There you have it. Now you know exactly how to create newsletters in Omnisend that will actually drive sales. You know what I love most about Omnisend Campaign Builder? It makes email marketing so much less overwhelming, as you have just seen, because there are templates for everything. And you've got your templates, you got your product picker, you got your audience segments, everything right where you need it and where you would expect to find it. And now that you know how to use these features the right way, you're all set to start sending campaigns that convert. If this tutorial helped you, please do me a quick favor and smash that like button and subscribe button for me to watch more tutorials just like this one. And make sure to also drop a comment below if you have any questions. I read every single comment and try to help out where I can. And don't forget to grab your free Omnisend account using the link in the description below. Thank you, Omnisend, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching until the end. I will see you in the next video.